Good morning, students, and welcome to class. I hope you had a big breakfast and are ready to learn, because today we're doing a deep dive on the origin of anime and how it became mainstream and so ever popular around the world. Mangas and anime were to the Japanese what cartoons and comics were to us back then. Obviously, we did not know that Japan had their own version, as it didn't make its way around our side of the globe yet. In just the last 20 years, we've seen a phenomenal growth in the presence of anime across the world. So much so that even mainstream platforms that had nothing to do with this genre started to join in on the hype. Today, YouTube has millions of videos on anime, and platforms as big as Netflix spend millions of dollars to adapt anime series into live action. I know, we've all followed that train wreck over the years, and we know how that goes, but let's not talk about it for now. Anime is a very unique art form that transcended the borders and has captured the hearts of millions worldwide. But how did that captivating art of storytelling and imagination evolve from its humble beginnings in Japan to becoming a global sensation? To better understand this phenomenon, we have to go further back in time to trace the origin of anime and its early influences. We will look at the 6 most important time period in anime history, ranging from the early 20th century to today. Part 1. The early 20th century. Before the term anime was coined, Japan already had a tradition of visual storytelling through various forms of art. This included very rudimentary woodblock prints and somewhat advanced animations for their time. Those animations were stop-motion short films that used hand-drawn animations. These did not include any sounds and were often called silent animation. The writing of the short films were very simple and did not include in-depth character developments and narrative. One of the earliest Japanese animated work is Namakura Gatana, translated as the obtuse sword or a dull sword, created by Junichi Koichi in 1917. It was a silent short film about a comically incompetent character and is a very good example of what early Japanese animations look like. I strongly recommend you check it out. Part 2. Japanese animation during World War II. As most of you know, the period around World War II was full of propaganda. Whether it be posters, TV ads, or radio segments, every country used propaganda to emphasize themes such as nationalism and patriotism. For Japan, this helped push animation to another level. With the government behind the creation of many different pieces of animation, Japan saw its first big jump in quality and interest in animation. During World War II, artists who were known to produce animation pieces were heavily controlled by the government. The creative side of animation and cultural storytelling almost disappeared. Animations were only used to promote nationalism and militarism. Also, those animations almost always presented heroic depictions of Japanese soldiers and demonized the enemy, particularly the Western powers. After the war ended, Japan went into a very economically and technologically challenging period. The shortage of material and the scarcity of resources made it almost impossible for studios and animators to continue their work. Most of them had to start again from scratch, and we would see the first big step back in the growth of animation in Japan. Another important element of this period in Japan is the presence of American forces on Japanese soil. Soon after Japan's defeat, the American authorities settled in Japan and had a big influence in shaping the content of Japanese media, including animation. Themes such as nationalism and patriotism were forbidden, and animators needed to go in a different direction to continue their work. The post-war era was the beginning of anime as we know them today, starting with the most important figure in early animation in Japan, Kenzo Masaoka. Known as the Japanese Walt Disney, Masaoka was a pioneering figure in the history of Japanese animation. Over his active years in the industry, he created many different innovative animation techniques that pushed the quality and the quantity of animation to a level only seen in Walt Disney's work. One of his notable achievements was the development of the cell animation technique, which involved drawing characters and objects on transparent sheets that can be placed over a static background to create the illusion of movement. This technique became a fundamental part of the animation industry worldwide. From here, animation became bigger and bigger in Japan, and slowly we would start to see animated stories address themes like fantasy, science fiction, and exploration. Part 3. The 1950s and the revolution in television anime. The television was an incredible technology advancement for the whole world. Seeing images move inside a black box at the time was like magic. For Japan, that only meant a brand new world for animations. Animators started to adapt popular mangas into animated series for television. The most notable one at the time was Tetsuwan Aram, better known to us under the name of Astro Boy. Created by Osamu Tezuka, Astro Boy was the first big animated series for Japan. Its first episode aired on Fuji TV in 1963 and was a massive success. From here, many other popular mangas saw their television animation be born. It was the birth of anime as we know them today. The industry started to grow exponentially and became a thriving business for Japan. Many studios were built, and more animated series saw the light of day. Every anime had now its own merchandising and advertising. You could get your hands on anime toys, figurines, posters, and many more. It slowly merged with Japan's culture and became an integral part of its history and lifestyle. But it did not stop there. That period of time for Japanese animation was also marked by its first presence outside of Japan. Astro Boy was also an international success, and it was the first time that a Japanese piece of media managed to cross the seas and make its way all across the world. Although Astro Boy managed to make its way around the world, it wasn't the anime that exploded the international popularity of Japanese animation. Part 4. The 1980s and the birth of a legend. We are now entering the modern anime period, where most of the iconic work known to us today were born. As you might expect, there were a lot of them. The classics that stood the trial of time can be named by the hundreds, but for the sake of this video, we will focus on the biggest one, the one that to this day is talked about, watched, and advertised like any other. I am talking about the Studio Ghibli movies. Created by Hayao Miyazaki and his team, Studio Ghibli quickly became the most influential and respected animation company in the world. The quality of animation in their movies was so amazing that even with today's standards, they are regarded as masterpieces. Their attention to detail was unparalleled. Watching their movies today and looking at the quality of animations makes it almost impossible to believe that it's all been made by hand. The Studio Ghibli's films completely shattered the cultural barrier that kept Japanese animations at bay. Not only did it present the Japanese culture in its movies, but the studio also addressed themes such as love, nature, and friendship, which all appealed to audiences worldwide. With Studio Ghibli making its appearance in the animation scene, we saw the standards for animation rise even higher. Everyone wanted to be the next Studio Ghibli, and the quality of animation for all the Japanese animation studios exploded. People around the world noticed this change, and Japanese animation became an important part of people's lives even outside of Japan. Part 5. The anime revolution through internet. The internet was for us all like a magic portal, connecting us with people across the globe in ways never imagined before. Internet was at the heart of the anime transformation and its progress around the world. This powerful force has made anime more accessible to a global audience than ever before. This would be the last big push anime would get until it got propelled into what it is today. With the internet's emergence, anime found its voice. It began to journey far and wide, riding digital waves to reach every corner of the world. Streaming platforms blossomed, offering a treasure trove of anime series and movies. They became the getaway for enthusiasts to explore this enchanting world that Japanese animation had to offer. Anime enthusiasts from every continent could watch their favorite shows with just a few clicks, and far away were the times where you had to watch anime on cable TV. The internet became somewhat of a classroom, where fan subs would lovingly translate and subtitle anime series that had not yet been officially released in other languages. Social media platforms became gathering places where fans from every corner of the world could unite, sharing their love for anime and forging lasting relationships. And as the internet worked its magic, anime conventions, watch parties, cosplay meetups, and many more social events sprang up worldwide. Anime had finally become mainstream. Part 6. The golden era of anime and its future to come. We now live in a time where anime has achieved unprecedented popularity and recognition worldwide. Internet still remains the lifeblood of anime, delivering it to screens big and small, from smartphones to massive home theaters. In this era, and those to come, anime is not merely a form of entertainment. It's a cultural force, a source of inspiration, a reflection of the dreams and aspirations of humanity. It's a journey filled with wonder, emotions, and a sense of boundless possibility. That was it for today, everyone. Thank you for staying until the end of the video. If you liked it, please leave a like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments what will anime become in the future in your opinion. As always, stay positive and see you on the next one.